Yeah, sometimes we throw the word legend around a little bit carelessly, but our next guest, I can assure you, one of Australia's most successful off-spinners, a mate of yours, Baz, and he's been good enough to come into the studio. We talk about the great Ashley Mallett. Ashley, thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks, Bill.
Great to see you, mate.
Thanks, Baz.
Great to see you, mate. We were just discussing off air just how much that we could talk to this bloke about at the moment with the cricket the way it is and whatever. And I did speak to you a few weeks ago, but never got a chance to ask you what you thought about the ball tampering issue, about what, you know, I mean, do you think it's been a little bit...
Well, it's blown up out of proportion. Yes, I agree with that, but that's what you're thinking.
Yes.
And, because, but I think it's what leading up to it. I think all the events that led up to it, and the Australians were a bit precious about getting, you know, a bit of flack and so forth. So I think it was the culture which was bad.
Yeah.
And I think they were punished because of the culture, not because of the ball tampering. I mean, ball tampering has been going on since WG was a boy. You know, we were in India a few years ago, and Patordi, the captain of India, gave the spinners a ball after 2.5 overs. You know, they'd say, "Oh, you've had it. Oh my God, you've had enough. Out, ball, spin up. Come on, Prasanna, 80." And they bowled for the rest of the day. You know, but as soon as they got the ball, they rubbed it into the hard pitch. There's no grass on it, so it was fairly abrasive. More abrasive than sandpaper, I would think.
Well, a lot more. Yeah, exactly.
And when we were in South Africa, a few months after India, we found the South Africans were swinging the old ball all the time. They used to have lip ice on their shirt. It's about that thick.
Really?
And they'd shine her up. You know. We complained about it. Not only that, when you went to pick up the ball, there's all white stuff on them, because they used to paint their pads good before they came out, and so they'd be wet, painted pads. Trying to bowl any sort of spin with the wet, you know, with the greasy ball is hopeless. So, you know, they played the gamesmanship very well.
Quite amazing, isn't it? But we know that it's been going on for 100 years, which is why I asked the question about, are we a little bit precious with what happened with our guys? I think it's a terrible look. It looked really bad. You know, look at it and you cringe as a former player. You go, whoa, boys, what are you doing here? Because my initial thought, Rowd, was that that would never enter my mind. I played the game hard, but that would never have entered my mind to do that. Which brings me to Steve Smith. You know, people are saying, okay, we might have been a bit precious, but he's the captain of the side who had the opportunity to say to David Warner and to Cameron Bancroft, "Hey boys, not on my watch. That can't happen." So this is only my opinion. I don't think he can ever captain the country again, because purely I don't think he's strong enough.
No, well, he's not. He certainly wasn't strong enough. I mean, he should have acted
on the spot,
because he knew what was going on.
Exactly.
Mind you, everyone in that room would have known what was going on.
Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The room is probably about half the size of the studio.
Yeah.
So if there's something going on in that room, everyone would have known.
Yeah.
And the fact that the cameras were on the guy with the sandpaper, from the time they got onto the ground after
they knew
lunch, but they knew. The South Africans knew.
Yeah.
So guys that say they didn't know, not sure about that.
Or maybe knew but weren't sort of in the loop, if you like. They might have seen it going on over in the corner.
They probably thought, "Oh, what's going on over there?"
Yeah, like I would have done, like me being...
So if you were the captain, you'd say, "Well, what's going on here?
What is going on here?" That's my point.
Come on, you blokes, you can't.
So, Rowdy, seriously, what would the chances be of Kurtz being captain? I mean...
Very good chance.
Surely.
Better chance than mine, I would
think. Really?
Hey,
I want to ask you this. We could stay on the sandpaper gate for a long time. I want to get on to you, though. And you mentioned India before. A lot of spinners have really struggled in India, but you were able to take 28 wickets on a tour of India one time, which is just outstanding.
Well, if there had been the DRS, it would have been about 48.
You would have got 40?
And if our bloke could catch, it would have been about
60. But, all right, was that 28, possibly 40, would have been 60, whichever number, even the lower one, is still exceptional. What's the difference between then and now?
Well, I don't think there's any difference at all. I mean, the wickets turn, but you've got to get the right length. And if you have a look at a lot of the subcontinent batsmen, they hit square of the wicket all the time. And our blokes would go over and they'd bowl like they did in Australia, a little bit shorter of a full length. but they'd get the bounce in Australia, but over there they didn't, and knocked about. But, now Lyon is he's got the right length. And bowled beautifully over there.
I heard you talking about Gary Lyon before, or Nathan Lyon, we should say, that he found the right length, and his bowling has improved out of sight since he's found that.
Well, it has. I mean,
length.
I've got a story. In fact, it's the first story in the book.
This great book here, the Great Australian Test Stories.
Nathan Lyon, and he was struggling. He was actually locking his arm in there, and I remember Marshy and Inverarity, the test selectors at the time, they said, well, what's going on here? And I said, well, have a look. He's locking the arm. He's not freeing his arm. It's not coming through, following through properly. Yeah. So he wasn't completing his action. So that obviously affects your rhythm. And he said, what can you do about it? And I said, well, they said, you better go up to Queensland and have a look at him. And there was Agar, I think, and the Pakistani leggy, and Nathan Lyon. And Lyon was bowling probably 3 good balls out of 10, and his good balls were magnificent, but the other 7 were a bit ordinary to them. And Marshy said, well, that's exactly what happened in India, They were playing on absolute minefields, and in India we're getting 500. I mean, he was getting, he got wickets, but he was getting them caught on the fence and getting smashed. So I went up to Nathan and I said, hey, Nathan, got a minute? He said, no. He said, there's nothing wrong with my action. I'm going all right. And so I thought, no. So I went to Greg Shippard. Remember that? That's blaster from Western Australia.
Oh, blaster. Yeah, he was a blaster.
He was the only batsman I've ever seen with a forward backlift. Anyway, he was then coaching Victoria, and we're down the pub, and I was talking to him over a lemonade, and I said, look, Greg, Nathan won't listen, you see. And he said, well, put a report in the end of the week. I said, what? I've got to organise it. I've got to fix this now, I've got to find a way. So I thought, well, John Davison was the coach up there at the NCC, National Cricket Academy Centre. And so I thought, well, I'll talk to Dave, because Dave had a very good rapport with Nathan, which is great. So I thought, I'll tell him. I said, no, mate, if Nathan doesn't stop locking his arm and doesn't get, good follow-through, he's not only going to be out of the state side, but he'll be out of the test side, he'll be out of the state side. He'll just ruin him. Within 5 minutes, Davo talked to him. They got it on they have these cameras at the nets. And he saw it. He was doing it. Yeah. And I said to Inver and Marshy, I said, I think he'll be okay. And I think Agar got the first test in.
He did, yeah.
But I said, this guy, if he works on it, he'll be fine.
He'll be back.
And he's been brilliant.
Oh, he's been brilliant ever since. Yeah.
Actually, you do some coaching in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
3 times a year over to Sri Lanka. You've been going for a while. How have you seen it evolving, cricket, over there?
Look, the enthusiasm is fantastic. And they love a contest, And remember, I'll tell you, we looked at 700 spinners, and we got 4 lots. We had Cubs, Colts, seniors, and like the big guys, the first-class players. There's only one bloke I didn't invite down. That was Murali, because we didn't really want fellas with those sort of actions.
Yes.
He mightn't have thrown, but just looked like he was a thrower. Anyway, we had a few blokes.
We
had one bloke that turned up. One bloke that turned up, and he spun with his thumb, but he had a bit of a Murali action. So we said, okay, we'll send our footage of this guy to those blokes in Western Australia, so-called. What do they call the
bio
degree people?
Yeah.
Flat Earth Society people.
That's them.
And so he came back and he's 34 degrees of flex. Whatever it means, no one really knows.
No one knows.
Well, they do. The Flat Earth back. Anyway, Dougie Wallace was in town, and I told him the story about this bloke from the Sri Lankan army. He spun off his thumb, and he spun it as much as Murali. I mean, he could spin it on ice. It's unbelievable. But he was chucker. And Doug said, 34 degrees. I said, yeah. I said, what's Murali? He said, he's 168. Anyway, another bloke was with this fellow, the Chaco, from the Sri Lankan army. Ajantha Mendes, who bowled the chow ball,
Out the front.
finger flicking type.
Yeah.
And I said to him, because we'd seen 700 spinners, and I said to this, what do you do, mate? Oh my God, I am medium pacer. I said, well, look, this is a spin clinic. Oh, but I can do a bit. And I said, oh. So, and he ran in and bowled about Steve Waugh's pace, but he was bowling leg break. And I said, what do you bowl? He said, oh, I am bowling leg break, off cutter, leg cutter, da-da-da-da-da-da, and doosra. I said, no doosra. Right. We want you to bowl. And I said, well, you just bowl your leggy, your toppy, and your wronger. And then he could bowl them beautifully at medium pace and then bounce it up here. So I rang up Tom Moody from the test select. He was the test coach then. Bring him down and have a look at him. And Murley was very interested to see the Iceman, the bloke who could spin off his thumb. But he was also interested in this fella. And he said, oh my God, this man could play in the one days now. Because he was beating Joe Soraya and that, he was beating the outside edge. So I went up to one of the selectors and I said, you've got to pick this man. Oh my God, no, we cannot pick him. I said, why not? Well, he's only playing, you're not playing Premier League. He was playing in some league where he got 85 wickets at 2.3 or something. So it took, from that time, it took 18 months before they picked him. And when they did pick him, he played 3 tests against India, and they had Tendulkar and all the good players. BVS, Laxman. Got 26 wickets. 3 tests, 26 wickets.
We need to get to
almost
a break.
As good as me, mate.
We've got to get to a break, but I can tell you this, if you want to see part 2 of Ashley Mallett, you need to tune in next week. Part 2, Ashley Mallett, back in a moment.